from Adhyapana. A quick recap about what we had discussed in the last week. But before that, let me tell you all, I am feeling very lucky today because our video is about nature writings from last week as well. And I feel very happy to be sitting in God's own country, Kerala, and talking about nature. A small trivia. Now, let me quickly come back to the topic. Getting back to the topic, what was my promise last week? I had promised that we will look into A.K. Ramanujan's Folktales of India to understand representation of wilderness in Indian folktales especially. Now, before getting into the topic, let me quickly tell about what is it that we were discussing in our last video. We were talking about how wilderness or nature elements, forests get represented in Western writings and Indian writings differently. So with that quick recap, let me come back to the topic. Today we are going to talk about A.K. Ramanujan's Indian folktales. But then, what is this book all about? A.K. Ramanujan is one of the very eminent folklorist and a writer. He has done a lot of work when it comes to folktales. With that in mind, when I talk about the book, this book is a collection. The Folktales of India consists of 111, that is 111 folktales. With our short bite-sized video, I definitely will not be able to look into 111 folktales, but I have shortlisted 4 of them. The 4 are namely, the first one being the Queen of 7 Jasmines, followed by Acacia Tree, third one the Flowering Tree, and finally the last one the Pomegranate Queen. So these are the 4 stories that we are going to look at. So let us start with the Queen of 7 Jasmines. So in this particular folktale, we have a prince, and that prince is actually looking for a solution to save his kingdom. So in order to save his kingdom, he goes to a well-learned man, and that particular person advises him. He tells that if you have to save your land, there is only one way, prince. You will have to get into the forest alone, and then you will have to find a girl there, a lady who actually showers with jasmines whenever she smiles or whenever she laughs. So he'll have to get into the forest. Will the prince be afraid? No, it's our Indian folk tale. The prince is not afraid. He has made up his mind because he wants to protect his land. He gets into the forest, and what we see there is no shadowy creatures, nothing scary or no bewilderment. Instead, we see that there is a demon and also there is one ant. Both of them help this particular prince to reach the girl. Once he reaches the girl, he convinces the girl and he tells her a very short story that makes her smile, and the minute she smiles or laughs, he is able to get those 7 jasmines. He also falls in love with the girl eventually. He marries her, he gets that jasmine, and then he'll be able to save the land. The land was suffering from drought, so he's able to save his land. So his soldiers, his lot of money, or the learned people in the country could not come to his rescue. But who came to his rescue was the forest and the jasmine flower, which is a nature element. So let us keep this aside. Let's move to our next story, which is the Acacia Tree. In this particular story, we have a family, a father, mother, brother, daughter, and there is the extended family as well. They all live in one particular place. It so happens that the brother falls in love with his sister. Then he goes and tells the same proposal to his parents. But to the shock of everybody, the parents agree. They tell, okay, you are a boy. If you have liked the girl, you can marry her. But the girl is not okay with this incestuous relationship. So she conveys the message to the parents that she's not interested to marry her brother. But then the family starts forcing her, and she wants to find a escape route or a refuge. What she does is she goes and hides herself in the acacia tree, which is in the backyard of their house. So here we see that acacia tree came to her refuge, but still she was not able to hide there for a long time. She is caught by the brother and the family members. When they force her to get married, she drowns herself in the well, and the boy also does the same thing. But then there is a mound of their death which is been constructed. Over the mound, after few months, we see that there is a flowering tree that grows, and whenever people pass by, they are able to sense the fragrance. They remember the righteous method that was opted by the girl, but then on the mound of the brother, they are actually able to see that there is a bush of thorns. So here, the parents were not able to give refuge to the girl. It was the acacia tree, and then later, her righteousness is represented in the form of a flowering tree. Now, with this, we'll quickly move on to our third story, which is the flowering tree. Here we have three main characters, mother and two daughters. So, mother is struggling hard to make the ends meet. Meanwhile, the elder daughter is suggesting the younger sibling that let us go from house to house and beg for something and help the mother. The younger one is not okay with begging. So what she does is she understands slowly as she goes and sits in forest every day. She has the power to transform. So she transforms into a fragrant flowering tree. So the minute she transforms, the elder sister plucks those flowers and they sell the flower. So every day this becomes a routine for both the sisters. So the younger one transforms, the elder one plucks the flowers, they sell it and they start helping the mother. And the king eventually observes this and he gets married to the younger daughter. Here we see that for their poverty, there was only one solution, that was nature. It is again this element of nature that came to their rescue. Coming to our fourth story, the Pomegranate Queen, as the name itself suggests, there has to be a character who becomes the queen of that particular tree, isn't it? So, what happens here is we have a father, mother, and the daughter. Mother has been to her native due to some work, and the father, meanwhile, is searching for a groom to get married the daughter. So, daughter does not agree. She doesn't want to get married in her mother's absence. We see the male chauvinistic behavior of the father here, who at any cost wants to make her daughter married, and he also does not want to accept any rejection from her side. The daughter keeps on rejecting any number of grooms that the father suggests. Due to anger, he kills his daughter. He also buries her and makes a mound in the backyard of the house. Once the mother is back, she starts searching for the daughter, and the father tells that she had been diagnosed with some serious illness which was spreading to the entire village. So she died out of the illness. She had to be buried. They cannot dig open the grave. Of course, the wife believes the husband. She mourns for the death of the daughter. But within few months, there is a pomegranate tree that grows over her mound, and often the villagers get to hear the veena sound from that particular tree. Also, the fruits are very juicy, red in color. The youngsters, the children, the old age people, everybody starts enjoying the fruits of that particular plant. And it so happens that one day there is a sadhu or a sannyasi who is passing by, and he tells, here in this particular tree resides the pomegranate queen, who was the daughter of these two. And everybody starts worshipping her, moving further after few generations. So even here, for the rescue of the girl, it is the nature that has played a role. Now I want all my viewers to remember one thing: these are folk tales. Please do not try to find out any logic here. How could this happen? How could that happen? More than that, these folk tales were written to bring about awareness in people, to follow righteous path, to be good, to be honest, to work hard. So, with these intentions, these folk tales were made because they were the source of knowledge. They were the source from where people could pick up and follow it in their everyday life. Therefore, these folk tales, more than logic, we need to find out the messages that are being conveyed through them. So, with this in mind, we can observe that in all the four folk tales, nature has a very primary element. Nowhere wilderness or forest is portrayed as dark. It is not portrayed as scary. It is not portrayed as a place of bewilderment or shock. Instead, it is a place of refuge. So, I would proudly like to tell that our Indian folk tales carry the culture of representing forests in a good light. What could be the reason for it? I see a very simple reason: because ancient India followed pagan system. So when I say pagan culture or system, worshipping of nature. Even today, we worship rain, we worship tree, we worship soil. So this is our culture. We respect forest, we love forests. It is a place of refuge for us. Therefore, there is a huge difference between Western writings and the way they represent forest and Indian writings and the way they represent forest. With this, thank you for listening. I'll come next week with a very new concept. Wait for me till then. Thank you.